So basically what we're doing is we're putting a towel in with the glycerol as a carrier for the oxalic acid. And once that evaporates off here, we're going to have crystals of oxalic acid in there that the bees can interact with in the hive. So, and what we're trying to do, go to the back, is have each towel having 10 grams of weight added to it, so that it's got 5 grams of this and 5 grams of this when it goes into the hive. Does that make sense? So it's going to leave, each towel will then leave 5 grams of oxalic acid behind in the hive, and we're going to have 2 towels, so 10 grams of oxalic acid per brood box. Dave's always used the blue towels, hasn't he? They come in a roll and you just guillotine them and...
They come perforated, so your typical towel rolls about 300mm wide. You cut it in thirds, you end up with a nice sort of a 75mm strip, basically. Right. Already perforated, you just tear them off.
And it's double thickness like that or not?
Single thickness.
Single thickness. So we've got each one of these.
That would be about the width of your typical roller towel on a 300mm.
So,
thing.
and that length? Or
and that length, yeah.
So
basically, if I use that in ours, the towels stand up either end slightly,
yeah,
so you can get hold of the darn thing. So if we lay the first one in there as an example, you can see it basically rolls up the end a wee bit.
Yeah, and I think they're going to do that.
And do the same in that one.
Guess what?
Keep on open for a drip tray sort of thing like this. Mitre 10 now have a system type one, but it's about $25 or something like that. It's not that dear? Isn't it? Okay. Basically, you want a drip tray with a little, it's got a little, just a tray in the bottom that drains your excess fluid away.
Yeah. So I might get, while we're doing
10?
this, no, there's only 5 there, I've got to do another.
Well, my scales, I had to use 10 to get the scales to work this morning, so.
If we use...
You can weigh them per towel, great.
Well, we'll see if we've got enough accuracy.
Yeah.
If we tear that, that is 1.92 grams.
Okay. Do it yourself. Kmart have got these hot plates for $62 each at the moment. They're Anco copies. It's a Breville, but yeah, for an induction hob, because you don't want to do them on your hot ring inside the house.
No, you want to be outside.
You want to do it outside.
So
Yeah.
You either have a burner or something outside, or get in a cheap induction hob to do them on.
Yeah.
Because it is quite toxic, the fumes that come off them.
Mm-hmm.
Target weight of your towel there, Dion.
So I want to add 10 grams to that, 5 grams of each of the components.
Oh, so you're not really bothered about the weight of the towel?
Well,
No.
no, except that I did do this to find out before. That one's saying 1.6. Yeah.
There's only 0.3 of them.
0.3 gram. And so my target will be for this at the end to be
Divided
11
by
to 12 grams. Because I'm not going to get any closer than that. I've seen on some of the things they'll have their gloves on and they'll wring them out a bit and try and get them about the right weight.
With a caution, I weighed mine this morning and I'm underdosed them because I wrung them out too much.
Yeah.
So it's easy to try and save chemicals, so the chemicals will last if you don't use them all. But when you try to eke the last bit of chemical into your last 30 towels and wring them out too much, you find they're underweight.
And I'm only going to demonstrate enough for 10 towels. We'll cut it down.
Yeah.
But, you know, Alice has got 4 hives and they're all double boxed at the moment. I've got another 6 hives. That's a lot of towels at 2 towels per box.
So your recipe on the list says 500 grams. That's enough for nearly 100 towels.
Yeah.
Okay, so you could make up 100 grams and it will keep. It just solidifies in a jar, and you can reheat it on your hot top and reuse it the next time. But if you keep in mind, if you're making up 500 grams of each, it's an awful lot of chemical.
And that they're serrated. Now we need to put equal measures of glycerol by weight and heat the glycerol in a pot. Now you've got a... What do we decide we're doing? 250.
halve it.
There's 107, 255, 250. Now we heat this first because we need it warm to dissolve into. It's operating high. So that while that's warming, obviously we've got a thermometer to check it. We don't leave it in there warm. We're going to weigh out 250 grams. But I prefer nitriles to lactic. To latex because they are more chemical resistant.
Because they're why?
What?
What did you say you prefer?
They're more chemical resistant.
Oh.
Right, so 250 grams. And that's only 8 grams, so you can see it doesn't weigh much, so we're going to need quite a bit. 30 grams.
And you do want to keep the oxalic in a sealed container. It does like to absorb water. Yeah. So if you find your oxalic swaying a lot, more than it usually would, it's possibly collected a bit of moisture.
There's 100, so we'll do 125.
Split it.
Split it, because we're not going to get it all
When you
dissolved.
said 8 grams, I was like, you're not going to get 250 in there.
Yeah. There's 125. So we'll do it in 2 lots. So I'm going to put them in here, pour it over, play with it.
Bring them out.
When they're happy, put them in these.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember these.
There's 14 here.
14 there. So if we put another 4 in there, then we'll have 25 and 10 towards.
There you go.
Oh,
140 degrees, so you're right.
and we're trying to get it close to boiling but not boiled, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Once the mix, you don't want to boil the.
No, because then you'll let off oxalic acid vapor. And there's half acid.
It's only more, it's come up to 12 degrees. Could give it more, but
Not all the way around.
no. Okay.
How long now?
70 degrees almost.
70?
Almost.
You just start mixing about 80? Or?
Yeah, I think about 80. You don't want to boil it,
No.
especially with the once we had the oxalic acid.
So the big thing is you're wanting it to warm up so it dissolves better and dissolves fully, but you don't want to boil it. And obviously the closer you get to boiling, the more likely there is that fumes come off. So when it gets to about 80, we're going to add this half of the crystalline and
Keep stirring.
get stirring.
Everything you told everyone not to inside. I did everything. No. Just on the stove. Just had the extractor fan going. God.
This is how not to do it.
Yeah. You got a mask on.
No, of course not. I gotta have wood oxalic acid.
So certainly it pulls the temperature right back. So that chemical was at 80 degrees when I put the first lot in,
Dropped it back,
and it's dropped it right back. That hot top of mine, it does it really quick, 1800 watts, and suddenly it's bubbling.
Oh, so yeah, you want
That's
that
too hot. You don't
Yes.
want to
You don't want it bubbling.
Don't really want it bubbling.
No.
But I'm doing big
What's your
quantities.
temp now?
So what, yeah. what's
We're down under 55.
Okay, so we've got to dissolve.
Yep. So at 80 degrees, we're just getting a light bubbling, just a light little effervescent bubble on the chemical. I've turned it off.
There.
Yeah. I'm just going to pour it in.
Pour it in. You're okay then?
Yeah.
Just up and down the towels. Sorry. There you go, and you push the towels down into it.
Oh, that's definitely warm.
Yeah.
Maybe I did want those heavier gloves.
The
Towels in there.
towels.
Oh, you doubled your dose, did you?
We did enough liquid for 50 towels.
And that's the other.
And we'll just squeeze it out on top.
On top, yep. Go
That's exactly
on the
this one.
floor.
Put the gloves.
That's exactly this one.
Right.
Oh no, I know.
Right there.
Yep.
I've still
the way.
somewhere. It's another. Maybe. Yeah.
So we're wanting a 11 to 12 gram towel. Probably 11.5 to 12 grams.
So what? Averaging 1.7, won't they?
Yep. So there's a single towel. Put it onto here. And it's way too heavy. It's 27 grams.
So we need to squeeze them out
So we squeeze it out.
for you.
11.7.
You have one.
Right. So that. So now we're going to do 10. 1, 2. So it should be 110
10.
to 120.
And the fact they're underweight, I'm going to have to add 5 towels.
There are. There's 120. So that's like. Now,
I'll lay
we
them
want
out
to
for
get
you.
them nice.
You get on with the next one and I'll lay them out, eh?
Yes, boss. So I can see why he does them alternate colours.
It's only just started. I was old, blind, couldn't see. It was my wife's idea. She's get a different colour. Oh, look at that. You can see them. What you do want to do, guys, is overlay these especially using the same colour,
Slightly
offset them.
off.
Offset them so you can pick up a long end each time you pick one up. Okay, left, right, left, right. So you look in the top of your container, you can say, oh, that's the long end, pick it up. I've also started using a small set of kitchen little stainless steel tongs,
Which it says in the instructions.
which it says in instructions, because you will kill bee gloves really quickly with this oxalic acid. You'll find holes in your thumbs, eh? They eat through leather
They
eat like through no one's business.
It is an acid.
It isn't it, exactly. But,
Yeah.
and they say, oh yeah, don't worry about it. My new gloves. Well, I've gone through 2 pairs of gloves at the time my wife goes through one.
They're not good for your hands either. If
No,
you
not really.
like beekeeping barehanded.
Alright, so look, the next 10 was much easier. Now, would you put them in 10s or 20s or something in a plastic bag?
I lay them in that tray.
You
I
lay
use
them-
I lay
you
them.
lay them
Use
in
I
the
use them in that. Take it out the beehive and just pull out whatever I need.
And I think I'm going to put them back into here when we finish.
Yeah, I would. So if you're looking at 6 cents a towel, it's a bit of mucking around to do. 6 cents a towel. Once you've got them, they're there. You can run them any time of the year you like. You can take your honey off. Like Dion mentioned, Dave used to do it. Boutique honeys is the way Lynette and I, we're doing boutique honey. So we're taking honeys off every few weeks. We can't be mucking around with Varoa or Apivar trying to work out.
So you use those year round?
Yep, we do.
Nothing else?
Nothing else.
And how long do they last in that box? It might
Maximum is sort of 4 to 6 weeks, depending on how angry they are with you.
be no, I'm talking about
Oh,
Store
before
it.
you store it.
forever. They'll last. Keep them out of the sunshine.
Sealed and
Seal in a sealed bin. Keep them out of the sunshine. They'll last fine. You'll go through them before they'll.
Oh, so you could make up 50.
I make 100 at a time.
Yeah.
But I've got 8 hives.
You vaporise off them, yes?
I haven't vaporised for a couple of years because I'm running a hive doctor basis, so I can't use a vaporiser in the bottom of the plastic. When I was using standard wooden boxes, yes, I vaporised occasionally. In the early days when we were converting from miticides to these, yes, I still had a Varoa problem. Like Dion said, it's not a killer, it's more of a maintenance program.
So if you have a problem, treat with something else.
Treat with
then
something else.
continue with this.
And if you're using these, I'd say talk to Phil about his vaporizer or something and vaporise the damn thing first. Give it a shock treatment.
Do you
Yeah.
have additional ventilation in your hives when using this?
I do.
Like Dave?
Yes, I do. Because the Hive Doctor bases have a mesh bottom in them anyway.
Yeah.
So I use the Hive Doctor bases for that reason, and they've got slide-in trays for sealing it off over the winter.
So I'm using a rim around the top with
Same.
ventilation holes in them.
Same.
And I'm running one less frame per box.
Same. Yes.
Ventilation.
Yes.
And this year I've been using these since for a year now.
Yeah, that's right. You did the last course. Yep.
I haven't needed to. I had to vaporise in spring.
Yep.
But coming into autumn this year, the levels are down. They've been maintained well.
Good. This treatment relies on airflow. Okay, through the hive to lift the vapours out and round through the rest of the boxes. So you can't just lock it down and seal it down and expect it's going to do it. You will find bits of these towels eventually lying out on the ground in front of the hive where they've managed to drag the bloody thing out. Sometimes bits, sometimes part of a towel. But if they're moving it, it's got to be doing something.
Again, how many people would be willing to have a go at doing this now that they've seen it? Yeah, because that's why we're doing it.
Yeah.
We're sharing our knowledge, sharing our ideas. I'm sure I've heard Dave say, it doesn't work for every hive. Sometimes you just get hives which don't like them, don't take them, don't.
So how long do you leave them in the hives then?
Until they pull them apart.
Till they pull them apart.
But what you've got to do is, as they're pulling them apart, you're going to have to be getting the next one ready. And so this is the thing. Once you start on these, you're going to be putting them in regularly.
Yep.
Because basically what you want is, you always want them to have some crystallised oxalic acid on one of these where the glycerols come off. And if it's taking about a month for the glycerol to come off, every month you're having to put the next one in to keep that dose
So you
available.
put one up to 4 at a time in a box, but the old two plus new two.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You could have, yeah.
And if they've really...
And then when you go to put the next one in, take the oldest one out, and
Yeah.
if it's still there. If it's not, then...
What I was tending to do was just swap going out with these towels with us each time we go out and having a look in the brood, and if they're starting to get degraded, replacing them.
Yeah.
And at one stage we got to the stage we'd left them too long and we just pulled the whole lot and did them all because I'd lost track of when Oral was.
yeah.
Now what you'll also do with these, you'll start laying them out like crisscross like I'm doing before you put the chemical on, yeah?
Yeah, it's quicker and easier, and then
Yeah.
the chemical doesn't have to...
Lay them out dry.
Running for a purge cycle.
So technically, if you get it right like that, he shouldn't have had to have double checked and weighed and measured. It should have just actually been...
Hey, but look, we were pretty damn close with the measurements. And we didn't know how well these towels were going to absorb.
Nope.
No.
So...
No, done well.